Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa, and welcome to our channel, of which we now have platforms and offshoots on YouTube, in BitChute, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on many social media platforms. Because the most important thing to me, guys, is to get the message out, to get the word out on this very important information, which I'm being inspired to share with the world, and which I think is information whose time has indeed come, especially in the days that we're living in of uncertainty, instability, of people trying to figure out meaning for their lives, and of people trying to navigate what's ahead, given the very uncertain future and interesting future. And we are going to release another version of the JN show here in the next few days covering current events. But in this video, I'm not going to be covering any current events, but I will just generally speak about the framework of world events and the trajectory that's going on, which seems to be going in the direction of less job security, more economic uncertainty, to say the least. And that's why, if you enjoy these videos, if you enjoy our work here at The Real Javier Novoa, please subscribe and like to our channel, because it's the way that we can start getting the algorithm to work in our favor, and so that we can get this information out, and also you can get alerts and other additional benefits when you do subscribe to our channel. You'll know when I make a video, and so on. So, I wasn't planning on making a video tonight, but I got a question from a subscriber, and I love getting questions from my subscribers. You can always ask a question in the Facebook group. You can ask a question in the comments to any of our videos, and also you can email me personally at Javier_Novoa@hotmail.com, and I will include that email in the description if you want to have a more private conversation. And I never share any details unless the questioner or the student gives me express permission to do so. So this person basically asked me, and it's a very good question. It's a question that I had for many years while I was navigating through this material. And it's a question that it seems like many figures in the LOA, the law of assumption, the law of attraction, and the manifestation communities do not do a very good job of imparting the correct vibrational approach to this question. The question they asked me was, basically in a nutshell, should I work or should I not work? Because they basically told me, in many of your videos, Javier, you say that we should take no effort. And then in other videos, you give tips, like the 1-minute tips for rapid lifestyle transformation that I'm giving in shorts, and it's a very beneficial tip that I give every single day in our shorts on this channel. And I'm now going into some components of Getting Things Done, or GTD, the great organizational system and time management system, if you could call it that, by David Allen, which teaches you basically how to capture all of your open loops and how to organize them. And the questioner, he was asking me, if we're not to take any effort, why would I do this? Why should I do any work? Because if I simply imagine and take on the state of the wish fulfilled, as Neville Goddard talks about, then I could simply sit on the couch and receive the Ferrari or the business. As well as I know that Lester Levinson once answered a question of a woman who theoretically said, could I become a millionaire by doing nothing? And somebody said, no, you have to go out and do something. But Lester Levinson said, no, she could lock herself up in a room and she would still have to get it, because that is the law. And indeed, that's correct. But I want to tackle this in a nuanced way. Because again, in many of my videos, I do give action steps. So what do we have to understand? The first thing that we have to understand is something that I explained in a video early on in this channel. And that was the fact of paradox. And paradox stems from the fact that when we speak, our language does not automatically distinguish when we're speaking in different levels of being. And I went through in one video my chart on levels of being. And I'm going to be publishing that chart so that we can all have it in picture form. Basically, it's a chart of levels of being where there is basically divinity at the top and then physicality at the bottom. And somewhere between divinity and individuality, there stems this setting up of an observer and an observed, and that is the first dichotomy in creation, whereby there's something separate. Because at root, there's nothing separate. It is monistic. Because there can be no existence other than the original existence. Everything else is just a derivative of that. Therefore, nothing can exist except the one. Am I making it somewhat clear? I hope I am. And I am trying to find better ways to explain this to have it more simplified. But I also respect my audience. Many of consultants whom I've spoken to about this channel have told me that I need to tone down the use of big words. We're going to try to do that. But at the same time, I do want an audience of a certain intellectual quality who is able to follow these ideas and these concepts. At the same time, I want to reach as many people as possible. So it's also something that I'm working through. But on this chart of the levels of being, when I say something, for example, we should take effort, I'm now speaking in the purely physical. But as we know, interviewing great athletes, for example, someone interviewed a great runner a few years ago, and they told him, thank you for all that you do, for coming to practice on the field every single day, for disciplining yourself, for staying on a strict diet. And he said, I'm not doing this, I'm doing it because I love it. And this is the essence of what we want to say about work. So the question is, should I do the work? The answer is, get into the state of being that you want to attain and surround yourself with all of the trappings. And we do this by entering into the level of being that I have detailed on my chart called context. And I want to explain this briefly. Everything that I'm surrounded with by now, everything that I'm surrounded with right now, including the people, including the physical environment, including everything outside and expanding in concentric circles that grow, which the circumference grows, that is my context. However, the only thing that I can be certain of right now is a very small portion of the context that is in immediate proximity to me. As physicists say, you only see 0.00001% of existence. If we talk about just on the physical, if we talk about the universe and the galaxies, you are only seeing a very tiny portion, so tiny as to be rendered completely non-existent. Everything else is created in your thought, ladies and gentlemen. And that is what I mean by context. And people look at context as if it's fixed. And that's all the descriptions you give yourself. I am a lawyer. I am a firefighter. I have a family. I come from the United States. I'm an American citizen. Everything of this, I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I'm a libertarian. All of this is context. And what we realize by going deeper and deeper into the spiritual levels is that we can change context simply by focusing our minds in a different way. That being said, when I say take on the state of what it is that you want to create, you have to figure out what it is that context would be that would surround you were you the person that you wanted to be. Did you have that aspect that you wanted to have? What surroundings in your mind would be surrounding you? What context would you be surrounding you? Then you practice yourself into that context. When you do that, whatever needs to happen on the physical in order to make evident to you that context which already exists will come. That includes all of the work that you have to do or would be doing. It includes everything that would come to you from the outside, whether that be relationships, communications, information. As Neville Goddard said, once you attain the state of the wish fulfilled, If 1,000 people needed to play some role to get that to you on the physical, then 1,000 people would play their part. But they would not think that they were doing it. They would think that they were doing it based upon their circumstances and based upon their own free will. And as we go further into this, we realize that free will itself is an illusion. But for the purposes of the game, they think that it is their own free will. So then, in light of this, how do we interpret that statement of Lester Levinson saying that you could lock yourself in a room and it would come to you? You could lock yourself in a room right now. But to get $1 million, I don't think what that person meant was to be locked in a room and simply have a number 1 million appear in a bank account while she was locked in a room. So at some point in a future time, she would come out of that room. And it might seem like she had gotten herself out of that room, but it would really simply be an effect of that primary cause of getting into the state of her wish fulfilled. Therefore, she would not remain locked in a room. What so many of us do is this. We say that we're imagining the wish fulfilled, but then we say, okay, I'm not going to lift a finger, because Neville Goddard said that when you put yourself into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, what we on this channel call state, you're not to lift a finger, you're to allow it to come to you. But then they feel bad because of all of their mental conditioning for not lifting a finger, because they truly think that the state that they wish to be in necessitates them to take certain actions. But they're not ready to take those actions. Therefore, they set up resistance in their mind and in their feelings, and they actually block the full development of that state to come into their experience. Then they give up on it and they keep pushing that further and further away in time and space. What does this all mean and how can we apply it? Well, in this course, you only take action. First of all, non-action is an action, ladies and gentlemen. Deciding not to do anything is an action. It's just as much an action as deciding to do something. So in that context, you can escape. You cannot escape from taking action. So what we teach in this course, you only take action for two reasons. That is, number one, to get yourself vibrationally into a higher state so that then it's easier for you to remain in that state and persist in that state of whatever it is that you wish to surround yourself, your contest. So that's why I said one of my first 1-minute tips, if in doubt, clean a drawer. Because sometimes if you have negative emotion, just moving around and cleaning a drawer or doing something that you feel has some small effect, but it still has an effect, that in itself will raise your vibration, and then you're home free. And then number two, we take an action when it's inspired to take it. When we're already on the higher points of that emotional scale. And for those of you that don't know, there's an emotional scale with love at the top and with despair at the bottom. And then everything in between, we move up and down on a daily and sometimes minutely basis. But when you're on top of that emotional scale, you're also in the state of your highest desires. Because the only reason you think you want the thing that you desire in the physical is because you think that it's going to make you happy in the having of it. Something that Abraham Hicks explains very well. Well, so when you're on the upper levels of that scale, you're automatically in the vibrational vicinity of what you want. Therefore, whatever unfoldment has to happen, whether that's steps or whether that's something coming to you, either you'll be pulled towards it or it'll be pulled towards you. So therefore, when you're up there and you're inspired to take an action, take that action, even if it doesn't seem related to the end that you want to achieve. But we never take an action in this course, incidentally, whether interior or exterior, to accomplish something on the physical. We always attack it indirectly. Because when you try to attack something directly, this is fine for going to the store and buying milk, or this is fine for moving a shelf, or this is fine for moving rocks around, because your beliefs are such that you know that when it's a very high probability that when you take that action, you can go and physically make it happen. Or you can go and micromanage a small team of people and have them somewhat produce the results that you want. But in our course, we're aiming higher than that. We're aiming for things that right now you have no idea how to take action on. In fact, that's the only things worth aiming for, because it's the only thing that's going to give you the challenge and the feeling of aliveness, which is why you came. And for that, you can't attack it directly because you already have resistance. And when you try to attack a pendulum directly, as Vadim Zeland talks about in reality transurfing, that pendulum will simply use that energy against you, and then it will overwhelm you, and you will not attain your desire until you turn the corner or change your vibrational outlook. So you have to attack everything indirectly. That means in the back of your mind, when you conceive of whatever it is, the next step that you think will get you closer to your goal, you have to take that action as an end in itself. You're taking that action and you try to completely focus upon it and then do it simply for the pleasure of taking that action. And then this is what's going to take you above action, because there's the final level here. It's what we call flow on this channel. And it's in the very highest realm of that chart of levels of spirituality. And it's on the highest levels of the emotional scale. And this is when you're simply carried. You now don't even mentally differentiate whether you're taking action or what you're doing or so forth. You're just in a state of complete happiness, most of the time in complete alpha brain waves, and you're just basically floating and being carried towards whatever it is you want. It's a state that great athletes achieve. It's a state that great scientists and business people have achieved. But this is basically the levels of action and how to clarify that. So it's not a simple answer of just make yourself not lifting a finger. It is, right now there's nothing required. I think Abraham Hicks said one time, nothing is required of me right this second. And in this second, I can just revel in the real feeling of what my wish fulfilled is, and I know that everything's going to come to me that I need to do or that I need to receive. And then you'll get an inspiration to do something and follow that inspiration. This is the action that we talk about in this course, and this is the action without effort. So I hope that clarified the question just a little bit. We are going to start going into the action steps that you can take this week. We're going to be releasing a lot of videos. Again, please subscribe and like. Hit the button so that you can get alerts of my videos. With great love and appreciation, this is Javier from The Real Javier Lavoie, and we'll talk very, very soon.